At this point, I'm still continuing with the mapping. I'm working on the shell of the turtle. Going to be putting in his markings on the shell. The shell pattern is very unique and very interesting that you find on each turtle. And I always start in the center, work to the one end to the other, and then I do the small scales or shells that are pattern tiles that are around the outside of the shell. I need to do his rear flippers as well. But once I get all the blue-green highlight or undercoat painted in, then I'll go ahead and let it set up the paint, and I will start putting in the highlights. At this point, you can see the front flipper tiles have all been painted in, and I'm still working on the back of the turtle shell. And then once I get that done, I will do the back flippers as well. I'll be putting in the patterns for the tile or the back tiles. At this point, you can see the tiling is done pretty much. I'm just going to let that paint set up And I'm going to work a little bit more on the highlights of the eye of the turtle. Try to make it a little bit more three-dimensional by putting in a highlight at the top and then using a little bit of white for the highlight, and then I will come back and use a little bit of yellow and white to do the under highlights on the bottom part of the eye of the turtle. Same thing when I do the highlights of the turtle. With the light coming from above, I will use a little bit of a white with yellow mixed in, a slight little bit of yellow, to create the sunlight coming through the top of the water. Now I'm starting to do a little bit of the same treatment to the eyes of the blue crab at the top of the picture. I'll put those in. I'm using the same colors that I incorporated on the eyes of the turtle. A little bit of a brownish orange on the top part around the iris, and a little bit of a yellow-white highlight at the bottom and highlight at the top. That's how I do my eyes on my sea creatures. As I work on the highlight of the eye, I use the same two-brush method. One brush has the paint color pigment. The other brush is just strictly damp with a little bit of water, and I use that to feather the paint into the darker part of the eye. This creates a kind of a smooth transition from dark to light. So once again, I use the two-brush method. One brush with the paint, the other brush without. And once again, my highlight is just a little bit of a yellow mixed with white. At this point, now I'm starting to work on the highlights of the turtle. I'm trying to bring out where the sunlight would come through the top of the water and illuminate the top part of the turtle to create the contrast between the top and the bottom. Once again, for the highlight, I'm just using white with just a little bit of yellow to create that bright intensity of the light coming through the top water. This also, I have found, helps to separate the turtle from the background or whatever character I'm painting, whether it be a shark or any other sea life. This helps to separate it and give it more of a bright, illuminated effect. I use the paint on the top, and I have a second brush in my other hand, which has a little bit of water to help me to feather in the highlight so I can spread it from the top towards the bottom. That's just the process that I use to creating my highlights. As this first layer of highlight dries, I'll come back and put in a subsequent layer of highlights as well until I feel like the intensity is just right.